it. That was very, very instructive, okay? Always look to hire people that are better than you, all right? Always. Look to hire people that are better than you. Always look to hire people that will go further than you, all right? And he lived it, because when he said it, I mean, I kind of never got it. So when he appointed me, I worked for the guy who worked for the guy who worked for the guy who worked for Richard, sort of thing, all right? And then my career evolved. At some point, I worked for Richard. At some point, I worked with Richard. At some point, Richard worked for me, all right? And he was cool with it, okay? And I suppose at the time, he thought I could go further than him, all right? And because of that, he never denied me any opportunity, any chances. He gave me all of the chances. I mean, he was really full of shit as well. I mean, he brought me to tears a lot of times, okay? He brought me to tears a lot of times. And Maurice would know him very well. Yeah, Maurice would know him very well. I mean, he brought me to tears a lot of times. But he was authentic, all right? If my volumes, because that's what we did, I mean, you know, we buy volumes from a different, if my volumes did not balance on a Friday night, even by a liter, I did not go home, okay? So, I mean, imagine you are a sort of young guy, you're driving a Golf GTI, it's Friday night, and you're trying to balance 2 liters. That's out, and he's breathing right here, okay? But what was instructive about it is that he invested the time. He didn't have to be there that Friday, every Friday night, okay? It was his time. He could have easily said, I'll be home, call me. But he was there. He invested the time to make sure that you as a person, you reach your full potential. So really supported me, and I remember when he then got me a job to go overseas, he sort of said, Sipho, I've taken it as far as I could, okay? Now, when you get to where you are going, find yourself a sponsor, okay? He was very, very clear. I've taken it as far as I could. When you get to London, find yourself a sponsor. And then I came back, and he worked for me. He was my CFO, and he worked for me for about 3 years and 4 years, and then it was time for him to leave. And he didn't just do that with me, okay? So he didn't just do that with me. He did that with a whole lot of other people. But as a principal, in fact, actually, most of the people that he's hired went beyond where he went. He never became CEO of BP, but you know, I became one. BP announced a new CEO in the last couple of weeks. She's become one, and Richard just never got there, all right? He just never got there. But that was never a sore point. So even with yourselves, I guess, whether you're leading 2 people or 3 people, in fact, not only will there be people that will go further than you, look for them, okay? Yeah, look for them. Look for the people who will go beyond where you went to. And it's a challenge, okay? You know, I mean, we've just hired a guy. This morning he signed, and I kind of like the guy. And I remember I told somebody, I think this guy will go far, okay? He kind of, I think he's a better version of me when I was 30, okay? Yeah, he's a lot more polished. So it's a very important dimension, because if as a leader you put yourself in front of people, I think you'll have a shortcoming, all right? You will not be